Hi, I'm Jennifer Bowker in Seattle. This is Brandon Huffman, National Recruiting Analyst for Scout.com and Fox Sports Next, looking at some of the key storylines for right about now. Looking at USC, look at their class compared right now to the summer. So much has happened. It really has a different face. Some decommits, some guys who weren't allowed to enroll early. Not necessarily a bad thing, but certainly different.
Well, it's much different. I mean, when we were talking in the summer, 6 months ago down at the opening, you were talking about the makings of an amazing class. And it's still got a chance to be a terrific class. On star average, it's going to probably still be the top class in the country, but it's taken on a different face, largely because there's been some guys that have decommitted. Now, there's no guarantees that they're going to lose those guys for good. They could still get those guys back in the boat, but then there's also some guys that were planning to enroll early and were told that they couldn't enroll early, so one decommitted altogether and is headed to UCLA and Eldridge Massington. Another in Kylie Fitz is visiting UCLA. He visited him over the weekend. He's still interested in USC and he may take a couple other visits, but I think the bigger issue is the fact that USC was able to put together a pretty darn good class. Then the season happened and there became some questions about Lane Kiffin's job, and now a lot of guys that weren't doing the early enrollment and weren't the die-hard USC guys from the beginning, they're maybe taking a second look, and maybe it's some schools closer to home. You have guys like Jalen Ramsey, who may be looking at Florida. He's from Tennessee, but he's looking at Florida a lot harder. You've got Jason Hatcher, who's one of his teammates, and he's from Louisville. One of his teammates is committed to Louisville. So you've got some other guys that are taking a look at some schools closer to them, but at the same time, USC did kind of dodge a bullet in the sense that they got guys like Max Brown and Justin Davis and Sua Cravens to graduate early and enroll early. Those guys are on the USC campus. Those are really the linchpins of this class, and those guys are fully on board with USC.
When you're looking right now, who do you think is on track to finish the strongest? Would you say UCLA, Washington?
I would say that those two definitely are in place to finish very strong. UCLA could add at least one 5-star, maybe 2 5-stars, and at least 4 other 4-star guys. Washington could also land a few, one of those 5-stars as well, and a couple 4-stars. The Robinson twins that were committed to University of Oregon. Once Chip Kelly left, they decided they're going to take some visits. They visited USC this weekend. They're visiting Ohio State next weekend, and they're going to probably visit Washington the weekend before signing day. Washington recruited those guys heavily before they committed to Oregon, so they could grab those guys. Obviously, Miles Jack is the big state in fish guy, the big fish guy in state is the best way to describe him. He's the best defensive player in the Pacific Northwest, and he's been committed to UCLA since June, but he's also looking very closely at Washington. He'll be visiting there next weekend. He visited UCLA this past weekend, and so that's going to be a guy that could really help Washington's class, at the same time kind of ding UCLA's class, but UCLA and Washington are both poised to finish very strongly down the stretch.
At this point, are you going to say that the most intriguing player to watch is Eddie Vanderdoes? That could really go lots of different ways.
It really could. I mean, there's 3 different Pac-12 schools that could have really their class kind of defined by him. One is Washington. They brought him in for an official visit in December. The other is UCLA. He's a top 10 player nationally. And USC, I think that's really a big guy for USC, in the fact that they got him to commit kind of out of the blue in the middle of summer, and then he decommitted in December right before the Army Bowl, but he could just give them their 4th top 10 guy in this class, but more importantly, it would continue to bolster their defensive line, where they've already got a stellar defensive lineman committed in Kenny Bigelow, who's supposed to be enrolling here very soon, and they may still get Ashawn Robinson out of Texas. That would give them the top 1, 2, and 3 defensive tackles in the country. With defensive tackles at a premium, those guys become that much more valuable, and if you can bring all 3 in, that makes that class even better. But Eddie Vanderdoes is by far the most intriguing player out west to watch, because there's 3 Pac-12 schools that are kind of hoping on him. Then there were the 2 teams that played for the national championship in Notre Dame and Alabama. They're going to get their shots at official visits in the final 2 weekends leading up to signing day. So it's not just the 3 schools in the Pac-12, but it's the 2 teams that played for the national title. All are kind of waiting to see what Eddie Vanderdoes does.
We'll be watching that and all the top storylines at Scout.com and Fox Sports Next.